I usually, when we begin this, well, actually any kind of retreats, on the first evening I go through some basics, establish like a ground or a foundation for everything else following tomorrow and the day after. So when you sit down and align your body, do it without hurry. And from the start, forget about all spirituality. Forget about meditation or having some nice meditative experience. Just let go of that idea. So when we sit down, don't expect to be in some nice meditative, serene or heavenly, exalted state of mind. Just forget all of that. Just sit down with your body sitting firmly, with your buttocks sitting firmly on your chair or meditation cushion, and against that sitting surface, letting your spine naturally, easily elongate so that it becomes easy for the head to be balanced on the spine, on top of the spine. Comfortable, upright, but easy posture. And then when you find a good, balanced, upright posture, let the body sit in that posture. Kind of just leave it sitting there. It is perfectly fine to, change or adjust posture, perhaps every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you have pains or aches or discomfort. But if you are moving all the time, turning your head, turning your body, doing something, constantly moving, that is because you're restless in your mind. And to meet that restlessness or whatever else is happening in the mind, in the subtle bodies, it is necessary to sit still. If we are physically constantly moving, we cannot really see the mind and its movements very well. But when the physical body is still, then it becomes much easier to see what's going on inside. This is why yogis sit and have done so for a long time. But what is a yogi or yogini? I'll just say yogi and mean both female and male practitioners. But what is a yogi? What is yoga? What is this yoga or different types or categories of yoga? What are yogis doing with these yogas? There is different yogic religions. Hinduism that has yogic practices, Buddhism that has yogic practices, Taoism that has yogic practices, and then some smaller ones. But basically, yogis practice different types of yogas, different types of meditations. Yoga can be used as a synonym for meditation because we feel that something is off. It feels that something is wrong, something is out of place. Something is not exactly right. There are some problems, issues, difficulties. That is exactly right. It is for solving such internal conditions, issues, problems, conflicts that different practices are for. Self-delusion on the path of wisdom and clarity is the main menu. And then in the path of healing and light, the main menu is this selfishness, emotionally negative emotional states that may arise from selfishness, or may arise in a bit more intense form from psychological trauma. And thirdly, of course, it can be also physical issues, illnesses, aches, physical problems in the physical body. But these are the categories that we address with different exercises, yogic exercises. And Amrita Mandala being a tantric community, we mainly practice tantric yoga. Usually it means, always it means that when there is a tantric training system, it means that practices are many. There are different kinds of practices, exercises, applications for different purposes. So tantric systems never have just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different techniques, which is often the case with Sutrayana training systems, but in Tantra there is a large variety of practices. And this is what we also have in Amrita Mandala. There is like a categorization of different types of tantric practices, and the highest category is called Ati Yoga. Ati Yoga teachings. In English you would say non-meditation teachings. That's the highest category. This category, this type of meditation or yoga is called Great Perfection teachings. Mahasandhi in Sanskrit, Dzogchen in Tibetan. Dzogchen teachings. And this means that if I use a classic analogy, all other types of Tantra, including the ones where you say mantras, do Guru Yoga, Deity Yoga, visualizations, mudras, all of these, they start from the bottom of the mountain, where you start climbing up the mountain with these different techniques. But in Great Perfection teachings, in Dzogchen teachings, you start from the top of the mountain. So instead of thinking about the path and the way and practices that lead what is necessary to do so that we get to the mountaintop, from the start we take a different perspective, the absolute perspective, and then see if we can get it, see if we can understand it and embody it. And we all are capable of that to some degree. But I don't think there ever has been a person in the history of humankind who was able to, when the Dzogchen view, the view from the mountaintop was presented, that it immediately set that person's mind permanently on that mountaintop, in that living realization of the Great Perfection. I don't think there ever has been such a person. But because we all have this pure nature, Buddha nature, enlightened nature, awakened nature, is why we can momentarily find ourselves on that mountaintop. And this is an important part of Amrita Mandala teachings. So let's take a look from the mountaintop. So each one of us already has awakened nature. We already have it. Nobody can give it to us, and it is unnecessary for us to look for it from elsewhere. It is not necessary to look for this nature from outside us, because it is already, it marks our three bodies. This wakeful nature, Buddha nature, true nature, pure nature, is all over us. It is in our physical body, its physical tissues and cells. It is in the astral body, the meridian system already, and it is in the causal body that creates the aura and the vertical pillar. This mind of a Buddha, mind of great perfection, is in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our ideas, in our breath, in the warmth of our body, in the beating of our heart. It is in us when we see, when we hear, when we feel, when we touch, when we taste. This perfect nature is already all over us. And even though it is called Mahasandhi, great perfection, it's a bit grandiose term, I feel. Like a big term. It suggests greatness and perfection. And true, from the point of view of clarity, it is the case that usually our minds are murky, not that clear. And when we recognize this Buddha nature, poof, suddenly our mind is completely clear. Just exactly like an open sky on a sunny, cloudless day. Also compared to the usual self-centered, self-based state of mind, there is immense softness, heart-related softness, heart-related, all the heart qualities, this soft aliveness, goodness, this subtle love. As well as unshakable peacefulness, groundedness, so peacefulness, aliveness, and clarity, all at the same time. This is our basic nature. So it is not like it's not like great, it is not even a spiritual experience. It is definitely not a mystical experience. It is not great compared to small or little. And there's not even a sense of perfection. It is simply who we are and how we are. It is the reality of each one of us. And it's the reality how everything is. All beings, all life forms, everything shares the same reality, the same nature. And when we recognize this basic nature like this, how does our life, our problems, how do they look like from this perspective? How do our habits, patterns look like from this perspective? They look silly and meaningless, isn't it? You know, we might have, and we do have, these very small-minded and petty reactions to the smallest of things. We get easily irritated and upset are easily angered. But when we shift from that suffering over small relative matters and take this perspective that embraces everything, holds everything, is perfectly connected with everything around us and everything that happens, then we get a different point of view to our problems. And how petty, silly, how we act and react. So when we recognize this basic nature, so-called Buddha nature, then we can think, we can speak, we can feel, we can enjoy, we can do things, we can enjoy a tasty dinner, we can make love, we can do some hobbies, whatever, from a completely balanced, clear, and soft state of mind or type of being. This is possible. We have this nature, so it is possible to establish it, to live it, to embody it in our everyday life. It makes sense, right? It makes sense that it is not like a momentary thing, but it is our true nature. But let's clarify that. So when you recognize this nature, check if it really is the real you. Is this really me? Is it, like Baba says, true nature, wakeful nature, Buddha nature, my true nature? Is this really my true nature? Ask yourself, check if it is or not. Do you feel at home when you recognize this nature? I started by saying that yogis practice all these yogas to address and to solve these problems and issues. Does this solution of recognizing our basic nature answer to your problem or problems? I am feeling. Here and there I'm thinking. I'm feeling what sensations I feel in the body, I feel in my head, I feel in my chest, in my heart space. I'm looking and listening. Is this nature that is pointed out, is it really me? Is this what I'm looking for? I'm also checking if this nature, basic nature that is being pointed out, if it is also in the center of my head. Is it there as well? Is that same presence in my head and in the center of the head as well? Simply feel. Simply check. Connect with this basic nature. If you move your eyes, if your eyeballs are moving around, it is easier if you just let your eyes relax and let your whole head relax. And then you can connect with this basic nature better. It kind of clicks like a key in a lock. And then, how about what was the shift? We find practices and teachers because we understand and admit to ourselves that we have a problem, psychological problem, existential problem, right? And now I am pointing out this basic nature, which is the ultimate solution. You could say basic solution to both of those problems. But what shifted? What shifted in our mind, in our being, in our subtle bodies? Were we in this recognition, in this experience 2 hours ago or 6 hours ago? Or were we in our usual mind that goes around in thoughts, thought associations, dreams, fantasies, frustration, and so on? What shifted compared to now? So think about that. Let's momentarily think about that everyday mind that is caught by thinking, emotional reactions, trauma, and so on. Recall that deluded, injured mind and compare it with this sober, heart alive, body grounded experience. What is the relationship of the two? What is the relationship of me, I, and this true I, true nature? What is the relationship of everyday self, everyday mind, everyday problems, and this sober, clear, soft awareness? If we see thinking as it is, without pushing or pulling, or without feeling conflicted about thoughts, then thoughts and thinking is perfectly fine. No conflict. If we see emotions as it is, as they are, same. If we feel conflicted, I don't want to feel this emotion or that emotion. I don't want to have this depression or anxiety. Immediately, conflict. But the sky accepts everything. Birds, clouds, thunderstorms, aeroplanes, rockets, satellites. A sky don't have a problem with any of it. Same with emotions. If we can, from this recognition, from this basic nature, see that however we react, however we feel, whatever we think, whatever we remember or associate, thought association, if we can accept all of that as it is, as it happens, no conflict at all, no friction at all, no fight at all. Only this, all embracing, all inclusive state of mind of a Buddha. Buddha is a fancy word. Sorry, I ruined it there. But that's what it means. All functioning of the mind is perfectly fine. as it is. The dreams, fantasies, wanting this, wanting that, avoiding this, avoiding that. Perfectly fine. Only if there is this conflict, we attach to something and reject something else, only then there is conflict and trouble. Then the sky becomes small and tight, stuffy and uncomfortable. The sky gets identified as a thunderstorm or dark clouds, something like that. But the real identity of the sky is the sky, the vastness of the sky that holds everything. Holds everything, is a space for everything and anything to appear in it. And the sky, just like nature all around us, is very alive. It is not stagnant. It is far from being dead. Far from being lifeless. So full, so complete, so alive. This is also the case with each of our physical bodies and minds. Very alive. But again, conflict after conflict. Conflict over conflict over conflict. Isn't it? But the fact is that even in that conflict, there is this aliveness. Isn't it? In our body, as we speak, breath is flowing in and out, heart is beating, the body is warm. This is basic aliveness. At night, we sleep, and sometimes we have dreams. Sometimes we are in dreamless sleep. And this is also perfect as it is. No need to change or adjust anything. No need to change or adjust or to fine-tune anything. Day or night. Already complete. Already full. So, in Amrita Mandala we practice these mantras and guru yogas and different techniques that are all emulations of this basic nature. Emulation means that you reveal some, some ability or capacity that you already have, that you inherently have. So all these different practices, we emulate, we reveal this basic nature and make it more and more apparent. Because what I mean by more and more apparent is that we clear away these internal conflicts. Remove delusions. So we do all those kinds of practices. But this is really the beginning and end of Amrita Mandala teachings, of any type of teachings, this basic nature. There is nothing else or nothing more in terms of healing and existential matters. There is nothing else than this basic nature. No deity or a saint or a god or a demon or a bishop or a pope or any figure, none of them can give us anything more. This is both the view of Dzogchen teachings as well as the view of Buddha Dharma, that our own nature is the solution to this kind of problem. It is important to understand this context. So, if your pockets are empty, your bank account is empty, you don't have money, and yet last month's rent is not paid, meditating, recognizing Buddha nature won't get your rent paid. So context, understanding context is very important. What is also good to remind everybody about this meditation versus non-meditation. If and when we are recognizing and talking about our own wakeful nature, which is our true nature, our true identity, our own true being, not the deluded false being, but our true being, then what is there to meditate? What is there to concentrate? Do you understand? There is nothing to meditate. No spiritual experience, no fancy, exciting meditation to be practiced. No concentration or mindfulness necessary. Not at all. If and when our basic nature already is clear and sober, wakeful, selfless, already immensely radiating basic goodness, immensely radiating aliveness, kindness, already grounded, full of peace, why would it be necessary to meditate on it or somehow divide it? I am now meditating on this true nature. I am starting the process of meditating or focusing on this true nature. It's completely, completely pointless, useless, isn't it? When it is me and you and everybody else, no need for meditation, concentration, mindfulness. That's why it is called with the term non-meditation. Non-meditation, abhavana, abhavana, negation of bhavana, negation of meditation, negation of mindfulness. And yet, when we recognize this basic nature, there is no distraction. We are simply, very easily, effortlessly present. Even there is this one term, kind of a trendy term, that I also use: embodiment, embodied meditation, embodied something, embodied body work, something like that. But even that, becoming more embodied, it's completely unnecessary. To be more in the body, that is also already completely unnecessary. Because our nature is a defining characteristic in all of our bodies, physical and subtle. So this basic nature already embodies our body. It's not necessary to start embodying it. all life already included. Nobody left out. Nothing left out. This recognition of our basic nature happens in selfless manner. There is no owner, no I or me who possesses or owns this Buddha nature. That's the whole point. I remember once some Zen teacher or Zen masters said it in a bit different way when he said that your life is none of your business. That's funny, isn't it? Your life is none of your business. The point is, don't get entangled, don't get caught in the conflict, in this habit of the mind that creates a self, creates a me, sense of I, which separates us from everything else, that divides, creates me and you, self and other. If we stay, if we rest in this recognition, recognize the true self, true I, true me, which has no trace of, having these strong, how do you say, preferals? Is that the word? Preferences, strong preferences, strong likes and dislikes, strong reactions. If we just remain in this recognition, our life, it's a free flow. It just flows freely. It is not necessary to react and react and react, to create conflict after conflict after conflict. It is not necessary. That self-centered, self-based mind that binds us into conflicts, that goes on in a loop, repetitive loop. We know how it is, how it feels. We get upset, pissed off, we gnash our teeth, our faces go red, our heart beats faster in an uncomfortable manner, the stomach gets tense, it works too fast or too slow, our stomach I mean. We get so tight, so rigid, and caught in that repetitive wheel of all these things happening. And it is unhealthy, it is not normal. If we just recognize our true self, true being, all these, little battles that we engage from morning till night, they disappear. Then we can be present with people who we spend our lives with. We taste the food, feel the breath, feel the air going in and out. We feel our bodies. Our ears are open, eyes are open, whole body open, wherever you are. And instead of going after this dream or that dream, or being upset because that dream hasn't been fulfilled, or there was disappointment with this or that, when you are present, we see and can enjoy the smallest of things. And when we see from that perspective, life is very fascinating. Here in Slovenia, it's already springtime, and ants, little black ants, these sugar ants, are running around the house. Here and there you can see them. Such a small, tiny creature, but it's fascinating to see. And all nature is like that, isn't it? What is exactly the fascination? What is the fascination with nature? Is because it's the same true nature. We see how these things of nature, how they are, and we are present to them. We are present to see them. We are present to taste tea, coffee, juice, water. Present to taste food, a sandwich. It is that simple. It is so simple. And this is what the Buddha taught, Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha's last teaching, it's kind of like the ultimate dharmic IQ test. But Buddha's last teaching was, he called his disciples, some of whom had been with him for a long time. He called his students together, and this time he didn't start speaking or lecturing or meditating, but he held up a flower. Simply held up a flower. And then his disciple, called Ananda, was the only one who started smiling. He was the only one who got it. Not necessary to give fancy lectures of philosophies. Not necessary to understand fancy things. He held up a flower. But the thing is that these flowers are held to us, in front of us, around us, everywhere all the time. These flowers held by the Buddha are everywhere this moment, day and night. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, forever. But if we are caught in the wheel of delusion and destruction, we miss all of that. We miss the beauty of life. It's that simple. The last teaching of the Buddha is that simple. So this is the view from the top of the mountain. The view from the top of the mountain. And depending on now I change the perspective a little bit. Instead of staying with the absolute perspective, I'm taking the relative perspective and start speaking from the perspective of the so-called two truths. So absolute and relative, two truths. So it is wonderful if all practitioners of any type of spirituality or religion or meditation would have access to this view, this mountaintop view from the beginning. We all have this pure basic nature, and that's why we can anytime, any place return to this recognition. This is, the master the first human master who started teaching great perfection, Dzogchen, in this world about 2000 years ago was called Garab Dorje. His son, Garab Dorje. It is not exactly known how to translate it into Sanskrit, but I think it's Prahevajra. But anyway, he's better known through his Tibetan name, Garab Dorje. And he actually, only one teaching from him has survived through the history, where he said that, you first need to recognize this basic nature. And then, that was the first point. And then you need to keep recognizing it for, brief glimpses, brief recognitions, many times throughout day and night. That was his second point. And the third point was, that's how you establish this basic nature. That's how you rediscover it and establish it. That's how you become a Buddha, like Garab Dorje. So these three statements, Chiksum Nedek, it's called in Tibetan. Just three simple sentences. But what does it mean? We have three bodies, two subtle, one physical. What does it mean that you just keep recognizing it? How do you keep recognizing this basic nature in all three bodies? This is where the practices, techniques of a method comes in. Different kinds of techniques, different kinds of applications to really establish it in three bodies. It would be sufficient, but quite slow, to just keep sitting like this quietly. And like we already established, this basic state is in no conflict with actions of any type. It's not in conflict with moving. It's not only when we sit down and don't move when we can recognize it. It's not in conflict if we start moving our hands and turning around, stand up and walk and run. No conflict. It's not opposed to talking, thinking, feeling. This is what we already established. But exactly the same way, it is not opposed or conflicted with singing of mantras, dancing to mantras, visualizations, mudras, asanas, vajra bodies, rubbing, tapping, combing. Like I said, all these techniques are emulations of our basic nature through the energetic and physical system. This means that when a practice or a technique is excellent, it is a perfect expression of this basic nature itself. If a practice is rubbish, then we never get this recognition from doing that practice. This is the case with so many meditations and practices, that it has very little or no relevance at all with this Buddha nature. And this is very, very unfortunate. But if techniques are excellent, when you do a technique, whatever it is, it will instantly give you that recognition. Okay? So my point is that we can look from the absolute perspective and relative perspective. Relative perspective when we admit and understand that we still need to remove, that we have the habit and tendency to react. We have these conflicts. Because we have impurities in the subtle bodies. It is excellent to have both absolute perspective and relative perspective at the same time. Again, absolute and relative are not in conflict with each other. What we are doing with chanting of mantras and all these techniques that we are absolutizing our relative bodies, establishing the absolute in our relative bodies, in all three. Buddha nature, the absolute nature, is already in all three bodies. But isn't it that we don't effortlessly recognize this basic nature in three bodies at all times? And this is where these tantric practices are so precious. They make the process so much faster. Okay? So we still have about 20 minutes to go. So I would like us to chant a little bit of mantras to make our bodies vibrate, to make the whole skeletal structure to vibrate, for a good reason. All these habits and patterns, they affect the physical body as well, and it is necessary to release them so that we can recognize the pure nature also with our physical bodies. Okay? So let's sing. I will write 4 syllables into the chat window. Om, A, Ba, Hu. Om is the seed syllable of the pure astral body. A is the seed syllable of wisdom, relating to the 11th bhumi. Ba is the seed syllable of 12th bhumi. And Hu is the seed syllable of 13th bhumi. So 11, 12, 13, these bhumis, they simply mean that our pure nature in mantric form. So Om, A, Ba, Hu. Let's chant through these 4 syllables, few rounds, few minutes. So with exhalation, you can just copy the way I do it. I unfortunately can't hear you, but you can hear me, so chant with me. Chant with audible voice, so that you can really feel a subtle vibration. You can really feel the bones of the body subtly vibrate. Okay, let's begin. Good, that is enough. Just relax and sit. Can you feel the difference before and after little chanting? So we feel subtly but noticeably different because we brought this basic nature with the help of the mantras into the physical body through making the bones and soft tissues vibrate. That's the basic idea of chanting. To further align the physical body better with our absolute nature, let's practice Vajra body, which is a basic practice in both Amrita Kriya and Rainbow Body Yoga. So we practice it that we inhale, fill the lungs, then we hold the breath, and as we hold the breath, we tense, flex, squeeze all muscles of the body. From head to toe to fingertips, we flex all muscles of the body. We hold the breath during that flexing, and when we feel that we want to breathe out, just exhale and relax all muscles. So inhaling, then holding the breath with the flexed muscles, and exhaling, relaxing the body. You can do this in sitting posture, standing posture. You can apply this to those of you who are familiar with simple yoga postures. When you do this, go ahead. Let's do this for a few minutes. Ikkunan voisi aukaista. Sometimes you want to flex the muscles, tense the muscles lightly, sometimes medium intensity, sometimes very high intensity. So simply follow how you feel like doing it. If you haven't done it before, then it's better to start with light squeeze or medium squeeze. And when you learn the practice, then you intuit more easily how you want to do it. And sometimes it feels fantastic to do very high intensity, 80%, 90%, even full 100%. We feel fantastic after it. Please continue. few more. Then sit down, relax. If you're out of breath, breathe like I'm breathing now. The jaw open, jaw hanging. So don't try to breathe like that. Just mouth open, just like a dog breathes when it's out of breath. And that's the easiest way to balance the breath again. Again, see how you feel. And for last, let's do rubbing. So we will massage, rub firmly. How do you say? Briskly? Is that a word? In a brisk manner. The whole body. From head to toe, arms, back, everything. If you can't reach your back with your hands, have something like a stick, rolling pin, a hammer, something that you can use to really rub your back. Okay? No hurry. Sometimes you might rub the whole body in 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes it might take 10 minutes. But now just a couple of minutes. If the touch is too light, there won't be much effect on the tissues. But if you do it, when you do it briskly, you really move, you really yank the tissue, then it starts feeling lovely, wonderful. Because the habits and patterns affect our physical bodies as well. I can say that the energy stagnates in the physical body as well. And greatly affects us. Even though the mind can be clear and soft, the physical body can be completely out of alignment with it. That's why the physical practices. And this can be actually often seen in, I have experience in Zen Buddhism, so I've seen this on Zen retreats, that people's mind can be clear, but their bodies can be poorly aligned with that. Sometimes vice versa, other way around. This is excellent for people who have depression. Now rub the body. You can also rub your back against a wall or a door frame perhaps. Use what you have available. And again, after rubbing, sit down and see how you feel. How same, how different. Let's do a short version of vows and prayers. Let's just chant, may all beings be free 3 times, and then dedication of merit. Internally taking bodhisattva vows and refuge in the 5 jewels, Guru, Pure Land, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. And then let's chant those two short prayers. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge and to all sentient beings. Okay, joining hands. Okay.